Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gift. In this video I'll be cutting and sewing this beautiful jacket or waistcoat. I'll be drafting the pattern first. I already have my lines on the paper. This straight line is my button allowance of 1 inch. Then I have my shoulder line at the top. From my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches. From my shoulder to my waistline is 16 inches. Then from my shoulder to my hip line is 24 inches. Then from this button line I'm going to mark my shoulder measurements divided by 2, which is 8 inches on my shoulder line. I came down by 1 inch as my shoulder slope. From the shoulder slope I'm marking my round armhole measurements divided by 2 inches. In order for the armhole not to be too opened, I'm going to minus 1 inch from whatever I have. So if you divide your round armhole measurements by 2, if you have like 8 inches, you should mark 7 inches. So on the shoulder line, I'm going to come out by 3 inches from the button line as the width of my neckline. Then I'm going to come down by 3 as the depth. Then I'm going to connect the 2 points together like this. Then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope to the armhole area like this. On the hip line, I'm going to go in by 2 inches from the button allowance line. Then I'm going to connect it to my waistline like this. On my bust point line, I'm going to be marking my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. So I'm going to be taking the measurement after the button allowance line. So I'm marking my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, which is 4 inches. I marked it on my bust point line, on my waistline, and I'm also going to mark it on my hip line, and I'm going to connect all the dots together on a straight line. On the waistline, I'm going to go out by 1 inch on both sides of the dart line like this. From the hip line, I'm going to go up by 1 inch on the dart line. Then I'm going to connect all the dots together like this. So I'm going to connect it to my bust point and to the 1 inch I just came up by. So I'm going to mark the midpoint of my armhole line. I'm going to divide the line into 2 by folding my tape over into 2 equal parts like this, and I'm going to mark the midpoint. Then on this part, I'm going to mark my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then from the midpoint I just marked, I'm going to go out by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect the half an inch to the bust measurement and to the top of my shoulder slope like this. And then I'm going to connect my dart to these midpoints like this. So I'm going to use this curvy part of this shoulder and connect it to the midpoints of the armhole line like this. So this is what I have. So I'm going to go out by half an inch on both sides of the line. So I went up by half an inch on the down part and I went up by half an inch on the up part. Then I'm going to connect it back to the dart. I'm going to connect it back to the bust point like this. So I'm doing this in order to tighten the dart. So the line down, I'm going to go out by 1 inch from this line down. So I'm going to extend it by 1 inch. So I'm going to take my ruler and extend that by 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect that to my bust measurements on this line, and this is going to serve as the new armhole. So this 1 inch I extended it by so that I'll not run short of fabric while joining it. So I will advise that you do it. So I'll be taking my bust dart. I'm going to come down by 2 inches from my bust point line. This is the difference between my front and back half length. So my front half length is 2 inches longer than my back half length. So I'm just going to shade this part. Now I'm going to be inserting my body measurements on this pattern. So I just marked my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm replacing this dot on this side. I forgot to do that earlier, so ensure you replace that dot. On the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then on my hip line also, I'm going to mark my hip measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Ensure you replace the dot allowance because I'm doing that too. And note that I'm taking all these measurements after the button line allowance. Then I'm going to connect all the points together like this. Note that it's advisable to take your side darts after connecting all your body measurements. I did mine earlier, so I'm just going to check if it's up to 2 inches. So it's no longer up to 2 inches, so I'm just adjusting it so it to be 2 inches. So I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch from this side of the front in order to make the down part of my jacket curvy. Then I'm going to use this part of my ruler to connect it to the main hip measurement. So you know the length of this my top is stopping at my hip line. Because I don't want it too long, I'm not adding any allowance to it. So you can go ahead and add your allowance. It depends on where you want the length of your top to stop. So I'm just cutting out the excess part of the paper where I don't need anymore. So I'm going to cut out the down part of this dart like this. Then I'm going to place it over the dart. I'm going to place it over the paper like this and use my masking tape to hold it down with the other side of the paper. So I'm just covering the darts like this. I hope you guys get what I'm saying. If you don't get it, look at what I'm doing. So I've gone ahead to comb it back together. You see I overlap the paper. So this side of the paper is not the line there is not that straight, so I'm just going to straighten it like this and cover it with the masking tape. Then I'm going to go ahead to cut out the excess part of the paper I don't need anymore. So with this we are done with the front pattern. Now I'm going to proceed to the back pattern. So I'll be making use of this paper. I already have my vertical lines on it. From my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches. From my shoulder to my waistline is 16 inches. And from my shoulder to my hip line is 24 inches. From my waistline I went in by 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to connect it to the top like this. Then I'm going to connect it down to my hip line in a curvy way like this. On the shoulder line, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to mark my round armhole measurement divided by 2 minus 1 inch. Then I'm going to connect it to my shoulder slope like this. Then I'm going to extend the line out like this. For the width of my neckline, I'll be taking 3 inches. For the depth, I'll be taking 1.5 inches. Then I'm going to connect the 2 points together like this. Then I'm going to connect my shoulder slope to the tip of my neckline like this. On my bust point line, I'm going to be marking my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. That is my bust pan. I'm going to mark it on my bust point line, on my waistline and on the hip line. Then I'm going to connect the dots together on a straight line. So I marked that after this 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go out by 1 inch on both sides of the dart line. Then I'm going to go up by 1 inch from my hip hip line on the dart line. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch from my bust point line like this. Then I'm going to connect all the dots together like this. So on my armhole line, I'm going to divide the line into two equal parts. Then I'm going to connect my dart line to that point like this with this curvy part of the roller. So I'm going to go out by half an inch from the midpoint of the armhole line. Then on this point, I'm going to mark my bust measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect the midpoint to my bust measurements there. Then I'm going to connect the top to my shoulder slope like this. So on the waistline, I'm going to mark my waist measurement divided by 4. I'm going to replace the dart, which is 2 inches. Then I'm going to add 2 inches seam allowance. On the hip line, I'm going to mark my hip measurements divided by 4 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then I'm going to connect all the dots together like this. On this side, I'm going to go up by 1.5 inch. Then I'm going to connect it to these points like this. So I'm basically repeating the same thing or almost the same thing I did on the front pattern. Then I'm going to cut out the excess part of the paper I don't need. So I'm going to cut out the dots like this. So I don't need the side darts for the back. I'm going to cut the neckline and this part out. Then I'm going to use these patterns to cut my fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut the fabric off camera, so you can see I added half an inch to all the sides and the length. So I have two pieces for each part of the front. So each pattern would cut out two pieces for me because I'll need two for each side. I hope you guys understand. So the center front has two fabrics, the side front has two fabric. Then I'm going to join each of them together like this. So I'm going to place the two right sides of the fabric on each other. Then I'm going to join it following the shape. So you go ahead and cut your lining piece the same way you have cut out the fronts, the same way you have cut out this particular fabric. Then you go ahead and join it the same way you are joining it. So I'll go ahead and join and iron it. So this is the back piece. You can see I added allowance to all the sides and the length. So this center back, I didn't split it into two. So if you really want the shape of the half an inch we took out from the back to show, you can split it into two and join it back. I don't want to do that. So when I open the center for the back up, this is what it's looking like, and this is the two sides of the back. So I'm going to join it the same way I'm joining the front, following the shape. Then I'm going to stitch it together. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side and the lining piece. After I'm done joining it, I'm going to go ahead and iron it. So this is the back. I've gone ahead to join and iron it, and this is what I have. This is one side of the front piece. I've gone ahead to join the center and the side front, and I've ironed the seam open too. Then the other side of, so I've gone ahead to join it and iron the seam open too. So now I'm going to be joining the shoulders together. So I'm going to place them on each other properly, the two right sides facing each other. Then I'm going to join the shoulders by half an inch. So this is the fabric I'll be using for the lining. So I've gone ahead to join it the same way I joined the front. So I've joined the shoulders, I've joined all the pieces together, and this is what I have. I ironed it also. Now I'm going to be adding the lining to the main fabric. So I've gone ahead to join the shoulders together. So before you use your lining piece to turn the fabric, ensure the fabric is well trimmed and everything is equal. So I'm going to place the two right sides of the line of the fabric on each other. Then I'm going to close up the armhole like this. So I'm make sure I place them on each other properly. You can go ahead and pin it in order not to make mistake. Then I'm going to follow the shape of the armhole. Then I'm going to sew the armhole round. After sewing the armhole round, I'm going to join the neckline round also. So I'm going to join the neckline round. Then I'm going to join this button allowance area. So I'm going to join this parts down also. So I'm going to join the other side as well. I'm going to join the other armhole. I'm going to join the other arm all together. So I'm done joining everything. I'm done turning it rather with my lining. So you can see I added hemming gum to the back so that when I turn and iron it, it will be flat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to notch both armholes because I'm done sewing it with the lining piece. Then I'm going to turn the neckline. Then after doing so, I'm going to turn the fabric over to the other side. So I'm done turning the fabric over to the other side, and this is what it's looking like. So the parts I did not sew that enabled me to turn it over to the other side is the down parts and the side of the fabric, both for the front and back. You can see I didn't turn the down parts, I didn't turn the side. So I'm going to be turning the down parts like this. I'm going to turn all the down parts, even the back too. I did not join both sides and I did not turn the down part. That was why I was able to flip this over to the right side. So I'm done turning the down part. Then I top stitched the side. I didn't sew the side in. I top stitched it. Now I'm going to close both sides of the fabric. So if you want to close it the normal way, it might not be the same length. So I advise you to draw both of the fabric to be the same length. Then you start pinning from the down part and ensure the armhole fits. That is why I told you guys earlier to trim it or make it equal before you turn it with your lining so that you not suffer. So I'm just going to join from the down part so it will be equal. Then I'm going to close this up by 1.5 inch. So I'm using 1.5 inch on the armhole area. Then as I'm going down, I'm going to be decreasing it to 0.5 inch to the end of the fabric. So I'm going to take the measurements the other side. Then I'm going to run the stitch on the line following the shape. I want to add ropes to both sides, so I'm going to come down by 14 inches from my shoulder line. That is 2 inches before my waistline. So this is the rope I'll be using. This is optional though. If you want to put rope, you can go ahead. If you want it fitted, you can fit yours without adding rope. So I'm going to pin the rope. You can see the way I added the rope inside. I'm going to pin it and sew it along with it. So on the other side also, I'm going to place the rope as well. I'm going to come down by 14 inches. Then I'm going to place the rope from that 14 inches. So you can add the rope if you want to. So I'm done joining these sites and this is what I have. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and iron this. Then I'm going to add my buttons and I'm going to open the button hole. So with this we have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching to this point and I'll see you all in my next tutorial. Bye.